It's Mr. Bucket List, and I'm back. And I know I say this all the time, but I really don't know if you're ready for this one, for all the wrong reasons. But before we get into that, let's talk. So as you can see, this journey started off in the beautiful city of Miami and this nice, new, beautiful terminal that Virgin Voyages created. Now, for the most part, when I usually come down to this cruise terminal here in Miami, it's usually just crazy. There's cars honking their horns, people all over the place. And I mean, I'm talking with Royal Caribbean, with NCL, with other lines I've done multiple times. But this time around, it was empty and it was nice. And so I kind of had in my mind, either something's up or Virgin really has got this thing down packed. And let me go ahead and put it out there for everyone that didn't know. Newsflash. This is the worst cruise I've ever been on. I'm serious. Now, for those who clicked on this video and who weren't expecting to hear that, well, thanks for watching the video. If you like what you saw, please check out my... But in all seriousness, yes, I do stand by that statement. It's just, unfortunately, this cruise ship had way too many issues. And even though it did do some things amazing, and particularly the food and the parties, the negatives did outweigh the positives, at least in my experience. But either way, like I said, I always love to make my videos fun. So even though it was a bad cruise, I hope to make this a fun video. Let's get to it. Now, just like the rest of my cruises, I did decide to go ahead and buy one of the upgraded VIP package. This one was called A Splash of Romance, and it included the norms, so things like priority boarding, special parties, alcohol, spa access, things like that. And so I was very excited, but unfortunately this is where the problems began. So once I bought that package and they put the wristband on my arm, they did not know where I needed to go. So I asked like 5 or 6 different crew members from different areas in the terminal. No one knew what I was talking about. And I mean, it just doesn't make any sense because Virgin Voyages has been around for more than a year now. Like, why do you not know where this package goes? This is not a new package either. It just blew my mind. And that was actually very frustrating because this package included priority boarding, but it also included a special area that included drinks and refreshments. Kind of like what they had on Margaritaville at Sea, but it's supposed to be Virgin Voyages, but it's supposed to be grander in scale and more luxurious. And I missed it completely, you all. So that was a part of my package that I paid for that I didn't use because no one told me where to go. And by the time I found it on my own, it was just too late. Not only that, but I also missed the priority boarding as well because, again, no one told me where I needed to go and I didn't know where I needed to go. And it wasn't just me, you all. It was a lot of people that had this package as well, and they were furious. I saw so many people just crowded around me, and we were just all kind of grouped like animals. It's pretty ridiculous. But anyway, eventually, yes, I did make it onto the ship. And throughout all that nonsense, you all will never believe it. My tradition stayed strong. I was the first person on the pool deck. This instantly put me in a good mood. I mean, this is how I always start with my cruises, and I was like, man, if I miss this too, like, I'm gonna be furious. And I didn't. And not only that, but I also met some women my age for once. Usually I'm meeting cougars and stuff, but this time around I actually met some millennials my age that wanted to talk and hang out, get a drink and stuff like that, and so it was actually pretty cool. And just a side note, if you all didn't know, this is how I get my thumbnails for each and every one of my documentaries. It's always on day one with my first drink. Shout out to the Florida Cruisers. Now, after all that excitement and disappointment, I did work up somewhat of an appetite, so I went ahead and tried out the galley. So if you didn't know, Virgin Voyages kind of touts how they don't have a buffet. They have more of a food hall in a way. And so the way it works is you pretty much have all these different options of places that are almost like packed together. Everything's included, nothing is upcharged here. And you can pretty much order from this little digital menu and they come and pretty much take your order, then they come and bring it back. So it's almost like table service inside of a buffet. I mean, it's unlimited, you can get as much as you want, but you don't actually get it yourself, they get it for you. That's the biggest difference. And so I was actually pretty excited to try this out. It seemed like a really cool idea, and for the most part it was. So not only was my first meal banging, but this view, as you all can see, I mean, I sat on this patio and it just overlooks downtown Miami. It was just such an amazing time. Like, all that stress I had from getting on the cruise ship and going through that mess with that VIP package, I was like, you know what, I can care less right now. Like, I am in heaven. It was amazing. So after I had my first amazing meal on board, it was finally time to check out my solo cabin. Just getting to the thing was so cool. I mean, it has its own doorbell. Like, that's one thing I can say about Virgin Voyages and this cruise ship. Again, the food and the ship quality, because everything's new and modern. It was pretty dope, y'all. Like, I cannot lie. And welcome to my room. This solo insider cabin was pretty amazing, minus one major drawback that I'll talk about later on when it happens. But for example, I mean, if you're trying to save money, if you know it's just you don't really want to spend much time in your cabin, it's pretty much perfect. Not only that, but it's also just very modern. So I mean, you have a little tablet that controls the AC, the lighting, the TV. You can order movies that basically are on demand, you don't have to pay for. It's just, I mean, it's so much that's in such a little space. I mean, you have your refrigerator, you have your water. It's a lot. It's really good. And so again, I highly recommend this cabin. Besides that one drawback I will talk about, it's pretty funny, pretty crazy. Now, another thing about my room is it included the mustard drill. So you watch the mustard drill on the TV like most modern mustard drills now.
Information that I must tell you. When you hear 7 shot and 1 blast from the ship's on, there's an emergency.
And then you go down to the little person, they scan your badge, verifying that you know where you need to go to. Of course, because this is Virgin Voyages, they had to make some little corny, cheesy, wannabe hipster type video and trying to make it cool and stuff. I'm just like, oh man, like, this is the type of cruise I'm on right now. It was just it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's just like kind of annoying. Like, man, like, this is adults only. Like, y'all don't need to make it cooler than that. Like, it's adults only. It's new. You all got good food. Like, stop trying so hard. But alas, that's what they did. Now, after watching that cheesy mustard drill video, and then of course checking out some more of the ship, it was actually starting to get nighttime, and it was almost time for the sail away party. Unfortunately, this is where more of those issues with that VIP package I purchased came into play. So initially when I bought the thing, it basically stated that one of the main benefits was during the sail away party, you get to go to Richard's Rooftop, which is like the VIP suites area, and have a champagne toast party up there. Unfortunately, about 2 to 3 days before the actual sailing took off, they changed that for some reason. I'm like, why? And I didn't realize it until I actually got on the cruise ship, and then they told me, yep, that's when they changed it. They showed me the date and all that stuff. I'm like, why would you all change it to the last minute? And so that was, like I said, very upsetting. It's just little things like that that's kind of made this cruise disappointing, because I'm like, this is stuff I paid extra for, and you all didn't follow through for whatever reason. So I'm not really sure what was going on, but either way, I was still extremely excited about the sail away party. And let me tell you all, regardless of what happened with that VIP party, it was still amazing. So the cool thing about this party is Virgin Voyages purposely waits to leave during the nighttime. So unlike other cruise lines that usually leave like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, Virgin Voyages, I think we left around like 9 p.m. But they left when it's pitch black outside. You can see all the skyline and things like that. Downtown Miami, it is just beautiful. And not only that, but the champagne is included for everybody. So not just the VIP people, but every single person on board can easily just walk up to one of the stations and they have just glasses and glasses of champagne. It was such an amazing time. And here we go. After that champagne sail away, it was finally time for dinner. You all, I was so excited. Virgin Voyages is known for their food. All of their restaurants on board are included. They're not like other cruise lines where they have specialty and then the common restaurants. No, they're all included, and they were all amazing. That is the one thing I can say about this cruise ship. I was not hungry at all. I was full every single meal, and the food was amazing. I never once sent something back. It was just, oh, it was so good. So speaking of the food, the first place I decided to go to was the test kitchen. This place was actually pretty cool. It's almost like an adult version of Wonderland on Royal Caribbean, where the meals you have almost have a story behind them, and you don't necessarily pick what you want. They have like a prefix menu. The only thing you do pick is the type of meat you want, just like Royal Caribbean. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and because I figured, hey, this is a different type of cruise, I did go ahead and opt for the alcohol package thing as well that came with it. So it was like an extra $40, and they bring you all these different type of drinks that have like stories with them as well. Y'all, you know I'm not a big drinker, and oh my goodness, I thought they were going to have to wheel me out of there. But outside of that, the food was still amazing. Check it out.
Beef puree with a little bit of a seasoning, peacock blueberry sauce, a dark chocolate quick powder.
Oh, wow.
With a freshly cut.
So yeah, the food was pretty good. Now the unfortunate part was, because the alcohol was so varied and so strong, I had to sit there for about an extra 20 minutes because I forgot where I was at. I couldn't see, I couldn't walk, I couldn't even talk. I'm like, man, I am gone right now. And so I asked the girl to bring me just a lot of water, and I just had to pound some water. But yeah, if you do that alcohol package at this thing, make sure you know what you're getting into, because wow. After dinner, I went to go see my first show on board. And unfortunately, this is where more of the problems take place. So without going into too much detail about what took place, because that's not what this video is about, unfortunately, Virgin Voyages, the company that we're talking about right now, gave me my first copyright strike ever over one of these performances. And it's crazy because I've been on this platform since 2010. This is my 9th solo documentary. I've done this plenty of times. Other cruise lines can care less, but Virgin Voyages gave me a copyright strike for showing one of their shows online. And the part that made me very upset was, you can easily type this online, the same show that I uploaded, and find many results of people doing the same thing, but they decided to copyright strike me. Someone that doesn't mess with anybody, someone that's not a huge YouTuber, someone that has never gotten one since 2010 when I first joined the platform. Crazy. Now, many of my subscribers said the reason why they did that was, on Instagram, they knew how bad of a time I was having on this cruise, like I'll talk about later on in this video. And Virgin Voyages knew it as well because I tagged them in the video, and so it was kind of like payback. And to their credit, they did rescind the copyright strike, but either way, that put a very sour taste in my mouth. So I mentioned that because a lot of the video footage I want to show from the shows, I can't really show because I don't want to get another copyright strike and then leave it on there this time. With that said, here's some of the performance. It was not the best to begin with, and that's no shade to the performance. Those people are talented people, they work out hard, they're good at their job, they were phenomenal. It's more to the think tanks that put the show together, the people that probably flagged my video. It reminded me of something I would see in a high school audition for like a drama troupe, not something I've seen on Royal or NCL with the Broadway, the Aqua Theater shows. No comparison whatsoever. A lot of people were confused, they just didn't know we were watching, so it is what it is. But yes, that's from night number 1. Now after that unique performance, this is what I was really waiting for, the PJ party. You all, I was so excited about this party. I went and bought some special luxury pajamas online. I was so ready. Oh my goodness. Like, I had a whole little story on Instagram and people were following my progress. I was ready for it. And unfortunately, once again, Virgin Voyages dropped the ball. I don't know why, but they decided to take the PJ or pajama party from the pool deck and have it smushed in some club. I'm just like, what? Why would y'all do that? And I mean, it was still hot outside. I mean, it was like a good maybe 78, 80 degrees. So I don't understand if it was the weather. I don't know what it was, but that was disappointing. But either way, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a great time. And I did.
All right, and then now leave the banner. Here we are. My heat is on. Let's get it. All right, y'all. Here goes nothing.
Y'all, as you can see in this video, they were getting down in that party. I was like, yo, this is so amazing. I was dancing, having a good time. Then I started getting hot because that thing was really hot. So I went upstairs and it was just crazy. I ended up meeting my first cougar. She actually looked exactly like the woman from American Pie, Stifler's mom. I guarantee you all, this is no joke. This woman looked exactly like her. And so we ended up just hanging out and talking, chilling. Ended up getting a pizza from the pizza place. That pizza was amazing. She got some weird topping that I usually wouldn't get for myself, but I tried it out. It was good. Man, this cruise is just so confusing. That food though, oh my god. So I woke up on day 2 with a positive mindset. I said, you know what? Yes, there were some issues on day 1, but either way, I am on a beautiful cruise ship. The weather's been amazing so far. It's time to have a great time. Let's do it. So because of that VIP package, one of the benefits I had was each and every morning I received a fresh pressed juice. Basically, it was like 1 or 2 choices that I can grab and kind of grab and go. And so I tried it out, and it was actually really, really good, really fresh. And I'm not a coffee drinker. I've never had coffee in my life. And it felt like I felt like one of those cool kids where they usually drink coffee to the sun. While I was drinking this juice to the sun. It was nice. In Key West, it was just a beautiful city to overlook from the ship. Just a great time. Now, even with that positive mindset going into the morning, something negative still happened. And I could not believe this, you all. So basically, I was in the shower, just taking a regular shower, listening to music. And the next thing you know, my smoke alarm goes off. And what basically happened was I had the shower water too hot and the steam caused too much smoke and set the fire alarm off. And so not only that, but they actually busted into my room while I was in the shower and evacuated my floor to the steps and all that stuff. Oh, y'all, it was embarrassing. I was so embarrassed I couldn't get on video. I just got the part when I was disappointed afterwards. Y'all, it sucked. So that was the one major detractor I was saying, going back to my previous comment about that solo cabin. It was nearly perfect besides that smoke detector. I don't know why, but it is directly beside the bathroom door. And if you have the shower water on too hot, it will go off and they will call you. So they'll call you first, ask you if everything's okay, which I said yes. They called me twice. And they still busted into my room 10 minutes later after I decided to get back in the shower to finish up. So keep that in mind. I was so embarrassed, you all. I said, you know what? I'm just done. I'm packing my stuff up. I'm getting off in Key West and I'm just taking an Uber back to Orlando. Like, I was just so over it, you all, but thankfully things got a little bit better. So after dealing with the craziness with that smoke detector and showing the staff the parts of Mr. Bucket List that's on Cougar's bucket list, I said it's time to get some food. So, of course, food made everything better on this cruise ship, and I went to the galley to get some breakfast. And once again, oh my god, everything was just amazing. This time around, I tried this French toast burger. It just sounded good from the menu, and it was so good. Everything else I had was good as well, but that French toast burger was on point. Around this time period, I also saw one of the solo travelers from my channel as well. He saw me and he knew me from my Alaska video, and so it was really cool to meet him. I didn't get him in the video right then, but I'll show you. I got him later on when we were getting off the ship. But once again, it was really cool to meet you, Todd. Now it was finally time for Key West.
Oh yeah. I get around. Still clown with the underground when we come around.
So as you all know, I live in Florida, so coming down to Key West shouldn't seem like a big deal for me because essentially I can drive down here anytime I want, but I don't. And so coming down here is still usually pretty refreshing. and the weather and the scenery, everything was just perfect on this day. So with that said, because we were still in Florida, this time around I definitely opted to go ahead and do a third-party vendor. I usually do them anyway, but this time around, since we were still in Florida, worst come to worst, if something were to happen, I could easily just go home. But not only that, but the excursions that were offered through Virgin Voyages were actually about 2 times more than the cost of what I paid for mine, and through the same vendors. It was just ridiculous. So I said, you know what, let me go ahead and support the local people myself, not the Virgin Voyages, and it was actually pretty amazing. So before I get into the details of the excursion, just getting to the excursion itself was pretty simple. It was about a 1.5 mile walk from the port, and you get to walk through like the downtown area and stuff like that, so you can see all the bars and restaurants and stuff like that. Key West is a fun and relaxing city. I mean, you don't even need to do an excursion if you don't want to. It's just really fun regardless. But yeah, it was a nice simple walk, and you get down to the historical district, and it's just pretty cool.
I ain't rich, so cease and desist with them tricks. I'm just another black man caught up in the mix, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Just 'cause I'm a freak.
And then to the excursion itself, oh, it was phenomenal, you all. So basically, it included a ride on a sailboat, a private ride, so it's about 8 of us on a sailboat. It included both snorkeling and also kayaking, and then unlimited food and alcohol as well, all for about $50. You cannot beat it. And just like the cruise itself, no kids.
And don't mistake my statement for a clown. We can keep it on the down low long as you know that I get around.
So just a quick breakdown of how things went. Of course, we got on the sailboat. They gave us the rules and all that stuff. And then we were just out. We were just out in the open water, and they took us to this remote island, pretty much where we were going to do our snorkeling at, where the waves weren't really that bad, but you can still see the visibility was good. It was a really good time, and that snorkeling trail was actually different because they actually had stuff that was like underwater, like chest. Well, it wasn't like treasure chest, but like just different chests and luggage and like bathtubs, just all this just random, almost junk in a way, but it was just cool to see. I've never really seen that on a snorkeling tour because I'm usually out on like some coral reef or something, so that was really cool. So after we did our snorkel tour, the next part was kayaking. Now, ironically, I'm actually not a huge fan of kayaking. Like, I like to do it here and there, but when it comes to the tours and you're doing it for like miles and miles, I'm good on that. And so once he said, yeah, the tour is going to be pretty lengthy and doing all this and doing that, I said, you know what, I'm good. I'll just go ahead and stay on the boat and just drink. And he was like, no. He was like, believe me, if you want to come on this tour, even if you don't want to kayak, come on down. I'll kayak for you. Now, you all, I'm not a small guy whatsoever. So I was like, man, this guy is out of his mind. And even his coworker was joking, like, are you serious? You're going to do it? And yeah, he did it. And that guy was amazing. And so I got a beautiful tour, front row, without having a kayak. And yes, I look lazy, whatever. Of just going through like just bushes and shrubbery and just going on this amazing tour on this kayak. Now, another thing as well was while we were on the kayak, we saw these little creatures, and they're like some of the most dangerous little like jellyfish-like creatures currently in Florida right now. We went right by them. So, I mean, if you all are in Key West or in Florida in general, please watch out that you can hear from this guy's voice. They are nothing to play around with.
Don't mess with those. People think they're a jellyfish, but they're not actually a jellyfish. They're a symbiotic relationship of 4 different organisms. But they will jack you up.
So after I was done laying back on that kayak tour, we did go back to the boat. We just kind of drank and ate, and the food was good. It was nice and fresh. They had like a little kitchen at the bottom of the boat, so they cooked it up for us. And it was just a beautiful day, you all. And not only that, but once they realized I was a YouTuber and stuff like that, they all were interested in things like that. And the captain was like, oh, you know what, since you're a YouTuber, I'll go ahead and get you some amazing shots of the ship you can't get anywhere else. And he did, and oh my goodness, like this company was amazing. Like, I will definitely leave their link in the description so you all can check them out. I highly recommend them if you do this cruise or if you just go to Key West. So now that I was finally back on board, even though I know I just finished eating on that little sailboat, I did go ahead and decide and get more food once I got back on the cruise ship as well. They had this amazing grill that was near the back of the ship, and just like on that sailboat, they had some amazingly fresh food. I mean, I can't stress enough, you all. I'll just put it out there. I ate at every restaurant on this cruise ship because I just had to. It was that good. Even though it was a 4-night cruise, I did it. Check out this meal. After that light snack, it was finally time to check out my next show on board. Now, I will be honest with you all, this show right here was my favorite show on board, hands down, and I do not want to spoil anything. Not because Virgin Voyages is going to flag me and try to take my channel down, but because it was just that good. Like, it was extremely surprising the way it started, and it just, oh man. I don't know how to say it without spoiling it, but I literally was a part of the show and I didn't know it, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Just know it's about acrobats and stuff like that, but it's so much more than that. And I don't want to spoil the best parts because when it happened to me, I didn't know what was going on. It was just truly surprising. So if there's a show that you need to see on board and a show that you don't want to look up on YouTube, this is it. Do not miss this show. I also met a cool solo traveler as well, and I can't show his face for reasons, but you'll know what I'm talking about if you cruise on this cruise ship. After the high and the adrenaline from that amazing show, I was just so hungry once again. I mean, it was just like up and down with the food. So I went to the Mexican restaurant on board, and that place was dope as well. The food was really good. Just the variety. I mean, yeah, it's Mexican, but they had so much more than that. And I actually got things I would never really get because I was just trying new stuff on this cruise ship. So, I mean, between the drinks and the food, again, everything was amazing. And I even got this right here. And it was funny because when I got it, the waiter was like, "Are you sure you want this? This is vegan. You know that, right?" I was like, "I'll try it. It's whatever." And it was so good, I ended up getting seconds. Like, it was some vegan chocolate burrito or something. Man, that thing was so good. And now it's time for the big night. So there's a couple big things that Virgin Voyages is known for. Their food, their PJ party, and Scarlet Night. I mean, it's just a huge red party on top of the pool deck. It's a big deal. So I was extremely excited. I had my red outfit and everything good to go. I was ready. And the way it started off was pretty cool as well. So it was almost like a story where you go and listen to some story and hear some ladies sing and stuff like that. Like usual, it didn't make any sense, but it was still pretty cool to kind of see how it went from one area to another. And it had me really excited. But there is a reason why this is the worst cruise I've ever been on, and this actually is one time where it is not Virgin Voyage's fault. And so I'll let you all know right now, if you don't want to hear any kind of personal stuff about my life and what was kind of going on during this cruise, I'll ask you to go ahead and skip to the next day. I'll put some chapters in the timestamp so you can all jump around. But yeah, this woman tanked this experience. So long story short, the party was amazing. It was just really active, as you all can see, just people dancing and stuff like that. It was so cool. Check it out. She make you tremble. Now, even though this party was amazing, as I've been telling you all, my solo traveling is coming to an end, and this actually cemented it once I had this experience on this cruise ship. This party was great, no doubt, but it was like you saw couples and you saw groups and no in between. This was not really a place for solo travelers. I just almost felt out of place, and I've never felt like that before. I mean, at the time of this video, this is my 9th solo cruise, and I've never had this issue until this party. And I don't know what it was. Maybe I was just in a bad mood. I don't really know what was going on, but I just was not feeling it. And so unfortunately, I made the mistake of reaching out to one of my so-called friends. I don't know what to call the woman, but she's a solo traveler as well. And we talked a lot about these type of things, and we had planned a cruise together and things like that, just because we just didn't want to do things alone and things like that. Just try different things out. And Long story short, when I was telling her about the way I was feeling, she was saying I was being spoiled and this and that. And she was just straight bashing me, saying, "Oh, you're being such a complainer. Just enjoy yourself." And this, I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. Like, I'm reaching out to you because I'm feeling alone. Like, I've never had this feeling before. Like, I've never had to ask somebody about this before. I've solo traveled to 48 out of 50 states. Like, this is nothing new to me." And so I really didn't know what to do. And maybe it was because I was drinking, I don't really know, but her reaction to what I was telling her was just so off-putting, it completely tanked my night. And I've never dealt with that before. First of all, feeling lonely on a cruise ship, and then actually dealing with somebody basically thousands of miles away. The woman was in Texas, and getting bashed about it. And so it was just, y'all, I was flipping out. Like, once I realized that she was not letting up, I just started snapping, and we just had like this hour-long argument about nothing in the middle of a party. It was ridiculous. Like I said, this woman was at home. She wasn't face to face. She was at home, and I was complaining to her when I was using the internet package. That's just how it was. And so that really did destroy this night for me, unfortunately. And to make things worse, not only did she call me all those names when I was down, but literally a week later, she had went to some restaurant, one of her co-workers, and she said how nice the restaurant was, but she could never go to a restaurant by herself because she would feel so out of place. And I was like, so you can't go to a restaurant by yourself, but I'm on a cruise ship by myself, a 4-night cruise at this amazing party by myself, and I'm a complainer, but you can't go to a restaurant down the street by yourself because it's too nice and you want to cherish it with somebody else. Mind-blowing. Sorry for the rant, but that was day 2. We are no longer in communication. It's that time. So if you're familiar with my channel, you knew this day was coming. And I'm kind of upset. I hate that I had to wait to day 3 to do it, but it was definitely worth it. So when it comes to this ship, oh, it is beautiful. I mean, this is the one cruise ship that truly made me forget that I was on a cruise ship. Just the way everything was laid out and the way everything felt. It was so modern, it was so nice. It truly felt like an adult's resort, but at the same time, it just, I don't know how to explain it. The thing was just nice. Now, just like my experience on Margaritaville at sea, this ship was the same way when it came to the activities. So this is not a ship that's made for families and things like that. So this isn't a floating amusement park. There's no slides, there's no water parks, there's no go-karts, there's no flow rider, iFly, things like that. It's just not on this cruise ship whatsoever. The only things they really had that were almost activity-like, they had a basketball court, they have a boxing ring, they got pools. They did have an arcade, which is actually really cool. I was like, wow, these are some great games in here. They also had this little thing right here, and this is my first time even seeing one of these type of boards, and check this out. Oh my... Oh my god, that is nuts, y'all. Look at that. The score. Yeah, I'm the man. And this isn't a bad thing, but they had activities that I'm not necessarily used to. So for me, I kind of had to figure out what I wanted to do. The cool thing was, of course, because I bought that VIP package that I keep mentioning, it did include time at the spa. So I said, you know what, let me go ahead and do my full ship tour like I always do. I wake up early in the morning like I did on this day, get my videos, do my tour, whatever, get some breakfast, then I'll head to the spa. Now usually I try to wake up as early as possible so people aren't in my videos. That just wasn't an option on this one, even though people still weren't in my videos. And so what I mean by that is, at 5 o'clock in the morning, the gym was packed. And it made sense. I mean, this is one of those type of cruise ships that attracts that type of crowd where they're just like fitness nuts and trying to show off and stuff like that. I can almost guarantee I was one of the most out of shape people on the cruise ship, but it is what it is. The good news was, because it was so many people in that gym, I mean, I actually had like a wait to get in the gym. That's how many people were in there. They weren't really walking around like the main areas that I was trying to record, so everything worked out. So after walking around and getting to fully know the ship and getting to see the beautiful sunrise and getting my freshly pressed juice for the day, it was finally time to go and get breakfast at one of my favorite spots on board, Razzle Dazzle. Now this place is mainly known for their vegan food, so I guess I'm turning to a vegan person. I don't really know what's going on, but I was like, you know what, at first I didn't want to try it out, and I said, you know what, I heard they have like a naughty list which has non-vegan foods, so let me go ahead and try that out. Oh man, y'all, this was the best meal I had on that cruise. That food was phenomenal. And something about this food on this cruise ship, it didn't make you feel full. Like usually when you go to buffets and stuff like that on other cruise ships, like you eat and you just feel full, you want to go sit down somewhere or lay down. This food did not taste like that. It wasn't greasy, it wasn't loaded with a lot of fat. It was just really good. So after that phenomenal meal, I actually did decide to go ahead and just walk around on the track. I said, you know what, man, I mean, these people are working out hardcore and stuff like that. I knew how much I was eating on this cruise ship, so I did go ahead and just take a lap around the track. That was pretty cool. I mean, I usually don't do that on my free time. I'm usually so busy on cruises, but this just kind of had that mood where I didn't have to like wait in line for the flow ride or the slides, anything like that. There wasn't really much going on is what I'm trying to say. As you all can see, the pool deck was pretty empty, so I said, you know what, I can walk around, I can do some just working out, some exercising, and so I did, and I enjoyed it. But now it was finally time for one of my favorite places on any cruise ship, the spa. Now, I didn't mention it earlier, but when I first boarded the cruise ship, I did take a tour of the spa. I had to basically register for when I wanted to come in and stuff like that, and so when I registered, they asked if I wanted to take a full tour, so I did. And the spa was beautiful. I mean, it had everything I love in there. The thermal pool, the sauna, steam rooms, things like that. They had everything. And so I just couldn't wait to go in there. It was included with that VIP package. It was about 3 hours included, basically per sailing with that VIP package, which was more than enough. This is a very short cruise, so 3 hours is more than I needed to be in there. And I enjoyed every second of it.
Such a vibrant thing, a vibrant thing. Yeah, it's such a vibrant thing, a vibrant thing. Check it, yeah, look at check me. Look at that, check it, look at me. Yeah, it's such a vibrant thing.
Now this kind of goes back to my breakaway video. If you all kind of know about that whole scenario with the spa and the swingers and all that stuff, I don't know what it is about these things, but once again I was in there and I was just chilling. I was taking my selfies, doing these videos you're seeing right now. And these two girls, and they were around my age, and so it was actually it was better than what it usually is. But there was two girls around my age who just kept staring at me. And finally, they kept asking me, they were like, are you a vlogger? Are you a YouTuber or something? So I was like, yeah, I do YouTube and stuff like that. So just kind of explain what was going on. And their eyes just lit up so much. I was like, oh boy, here we go. And so I had to stop putting people's faces and names in videos because I got a nasty comment last time I did. They said I was harassing women, so that's the reason I'm not showing them in this video. But shout out to you all. It was nice to meet you all, and thank you for making my cruise somewhat better because things are about to get worse. But anyway, outside of meeting those females, yes, the spa was amazing. It was just so much to it. They actually had an ice bath, and I said, you know what, I'm MrBucketlist. Let me go ahead and try it out. And so they had a couple of them, and I tried both of them out, and the ice bath was pretty cold, but it wasn't too bad. I stayed in there for about 3 minutes, did my thing, and I went back into the thermal pool. I highly recommend that thermal spa if you do Virgin Voyages. So between the amazing time in the spa and meet my two new homegirls, my mood greatly improved. I was just ready to go. And so with any good mood comes a good meal. So I went back over to the Wake, the place I've been trying to go to the longest. I heard it was so good. It's got a beautiful view. I heard the steak in there is amazing. And so I said, you know what? Before my main meal for dinner, let me go ahead and try the Wake out for like a little light snack. So I went in there and tried it out. Check it out.
Like I always say, it's good for the goose, it's always good for the gander. Oh, sailor.
So the Wake actually offers both brunch and dinner. What you all saw was brunch, and the brunch is really good as well. Once again, I was trying meals and items I would never really get, and it was still phenomenal. And then when I got back to my room, I actually had these little treats here waiting for me. So this is also included in my VIP package. It's like some little macaroons or something like that. And they were really good. And so what I actually did was I decided to dip them in this little stuff that I got from the spa. It was like some mud stuff, like edible mud or something. But surprisingly, it actually made them even better. So just something I tried out. I recommend if you all have this package, try that out. It's a good combination. So I promise you all are going to see me eat more than anything in this documentary. I'm sorry, it's just the food was that good. It's time to eat again. So the next place I headed to was a place called Gumbe, and I just was so ready to scream Gumbe. My friend that I ended up cussing out and lighting up on that cruise because she wanted to call me names and stuff from far away in Texas. She had hyped me up so much about this Gumbe restaurant, and I just like, oh man, I can't wait to try it out. So basically all it is just Korean barbecue. They come and cook in front of you, but it's like a party atmosphere. It includes drinking games, stuff like that. It was a really good time, so I couldn't wait to try it out. This restaurant was such a good time, and I met so many other people. I mean, yeah, it was some couples, it was some solos, it was a mixture of almost everybody. We just had a really good time. Once again, they were asking me if I was a YouTuber. I'm like, yep, I am, and this is what's going on. And we were just like having a great time. And then I had to let them know, like, hey, like as much as I love talking to you all, I had to run because I actually got invited to go to that, what I'm gonna call the sex show. The sex show with those two girls I had met. And so it was literally starting around the same time I was at this restaurant. So I couldn't enjoy the full experience. But either way, it was a good time. It was great to meet you all. If you see this video, again, great to meet you all. Please leave a comment. The SEX show. Oh my goodness. So this thing is called Never Sleep Alone. I'm going to tell you all right now, I can't talk about a lot of it for multiple reasons. One, I don't want Virgin Voyages to flag my video. Two, I don't want YouTube to flag my video either, make this a 17 and up video. But man, oh man. I was not prepared for this one. There are a lot of rumors about this show online, or you can probably find the whole thing online as well. It's true. Just know what you're getting in for before you go there. I went there with my two homegirls, and oh man, what a mistake.
Well, I guess what hurt me most of all, you were playing with my heart. Tell me, why am I emotional when I knew it from the start?
So after that crazy show and receiving the gold condom because my homegirls asked me to do something that I didn't want to, I said, you know what, I gotta clear my head. It was just way too much, y'all. That show is not for me. I mean, I love adults only. I love kids not being around. But I mean, all that sex stuff, and just like, man, like, just because it's adults only doesn't mean we all walk around horny 24/7. Like, just calm down. And so, like I said, I didn't really enjoy it. Maybe it's for other people. That's not something that's for me. And so I literally had to just go and clear my mind. So I told my homegirls I was going to go sleep or something like that, but I wasn't. I just walked around the cruise ship at night and just took in the views because I'm like, man, this is what I'm cruising for. Like, this peace, this sense of vacation, not to be up on stage doing sexual acts and stuff like that. My God, where's Miss Bucket List at?
Tell me, why does my heart beat
Welcome to day 4. So once again, I had breakfast at the wake. The cool thing about the wake, at least on my sailing, was it didn't need any type of reservations or anything like that. So I was able to just kind of walk in there, get a good seat, get a good view. And not only that, I was able to try everything else on the menu that I missed the first time around. All around, just a really good time.
The time has come, and you know that you're the only one to say, okay. Where you going, what you looking for?
Day 4 was also the big day as well, because today we finally got to go to the private island, the Virgin Voyages Beach Club in Bimini, and I was so excited to go, but unfortunately the weather did suck. Don't let these drone footage confuse you. No, it wasn't that beautiful when we got there. It was terrible looking. A lot of people didn't even feel like getting off the ship because it looked so bad. Now, one thing about this island that was kind of off-putting was I had an excursion, and usually on every other cruise line I've been on, when you have an excursion, it'll tell you exactly where to go on your little tickets, and they'll have signs all over the place and things like that. And so my excursion wasn't until later on in the day. I mean, we got here around like 8 o'clock in the morning, and my excursion wasn't until like 2. So I had some time, but either way, I was just like, where am I supposed to go? It was just really confusing. And so I always love to plan ahead of time, so I did go ahead and ask the people at the docks. I said, hey, do you know this excursion meets? And nobody knew. I kept asking all these different people, no signs or nothing. Nobody knew what I was talking about. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go to the beach club, and once I get there, I'll figure out where to go. I want you all to remember this statement. No one knew where to go. Now, unfortunately, the thing about bad weather is it just makes islands and private islands seem less desirable. I mean, I deal with this every time I deal with some rain. Perfect day at Coco Cay, for example. It's like when you're there when it's sunny and beautiful, it's like the best place in the world. But when you're there when it's raining, you almost feel like miserable. And this island was no different. I mean, I was like, man, I should just stay on the ship. But at the same time, I really did want to see what was going on this island. And so there was this very long, just, man, it seemed like a 25-30 minute tram ride just to get over to the beach club, and it had like certain stops here and there as well, but because of the weather it just wasn't that exciting, but thankfully the beach club, regardless of the weather, the beach club was actually beautiful. Check it out. Now again, I'm not going to fault Virgin on this. Virgin cannot control the weather, so I'm not that ridiculous with my complaints, but they did turn the music off as well, so it was like bad weather, no music, nobody really doing anything. It was like a weird vibe. I'm like, man, what's going on? So ironically, because it was such a weird vibe, I said, you know what, man, I'm still gonna have some fun. So I actually decided to go ahead and jump in the pool. No one else was in the pool but me. I guess they just didn't feel like getting wet even though it was raining and stuff. So I literally pulled out my long sleeve little fishing shirt and I jumped in the pool. And ironically, when I got back out the pool, whoever was so impressed that I jumped in the pool, they actually bought me a drink from this guy with a drink in a backpack. Check it out.
There we go. You are the first one in the during day, huh?
Okay. Woo. That's so weird.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. See?
So after a while, people started getting in the pool, and the music randomly turned on. It's just, the party started going. So I'm not going to say I'm the one that started it. Maybe I did. I don't really know. But after I jumped in that pool and got out, people actually started getting in, and it started to get into a more lively atmosphere, even though the weather was pretty much the same. So yeah, it was really fun. Somehow I also ended up in this Congo line as well. Check it out. It was a really good time. I'm like, yes, this is the Virgin I came for. I don't care about the weather. I just want to have a good time without being all crazy and stuff. And it was really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Another thing I enjoyed as well, of course, as you already know, is the dang food. Oh my goodness. So this food on this private island was so fresh. It wasn't too filling. It was like unique. The flavor was amazing. Oh man, it was so good. And that dang rum cake, oh man, I don't know what they put in it, but it was so soft, so moist, and so flavorful. I got like 3 of them, y'all. I was crushing that cake. So after I did some dancing in the pool and then ate an amazing meal, it was finally time to get ready to go to my excursion. Now I still had about an hour to go before my excursion started, but I still wanted to get there early just in case something bad were to happen. And yes, unfortunately, this is where things did hit rock bottom. So at the beach club, they actually had a short excursion desk. If you had any questions, if you wanted to book something, whatever, it was right there. So when I got there, I asked them, said, hey, where's my short excursion meet? I need to go ahead and get ready and go for it. The first guy I talked to, he didn't know. The second person I talked to, she didn't know. And then about 5 to 10 minutes later, someone else came and said, oh yeah, it's all the way across the island. You gotta hurry up. I'm like, what? What is going on here? And so again, all these different people I asked, no one knew exactly where to go. And so I was like, okay, fine. As soon as they told me, I said, okay, who do I need to talk to? How do I get there? They told me, go ahead and get on the tram. Just tell him where you need to go. I get to the tram. I tell the man, hey, I'm in a rush. Like, my excursion apparently is across the island. Can you get me over there in time? He said, sure, no problem. And then next thing you know, he was like, wait a minute, where do you need to go? I'm like, to the excursion. I was like, do you not know this at? So I had to go back over there to get the exact name again. Just a bunch of back and forth. He still didn't understand where to go, so he had to wait for one of his coworkers. Long story short, you all, I ended up missing my excursion because no one knew where to go. There was no type of direction. And even though, again, I've done excursions on every single cruise I've been on, I've never had an issue before. Of course, with this one cruise, I ended up missing it. And so the bad part was I had to actually ask locals, like people that had nothing to do with the cruise line, where I needed to go. And they finally told me the right way. And then once I got there, as soon as I got to the dock where the ship took off, so I was basically doing like a little ship snorkel, whatever, like with sharks and stuff like that. It was literally leaving as I walked up to the dock. And they were like waving goodbye and stuff like that. Oh, it was like a scene out of a movie. I was furious. And not only that, the girl who was actually there, who worked for Virgin Voyages for the excursion, she knew exactly who I was, and she just shook her head. Like, the first thing she said was no refund. Y'all, when that happened, I'm trying to tell you, I lost it. Everything that bad had happened up on this cruise ship, all the way up until this point, it was just building up, and finally, I just gone. I snapped. And so, long story short, I said whatever I needed to say. And the girl just said, oh, okay, well, such and such, I'll get my manager to call you and this and that. Like, she was mad, but at the same time, she didn't want to deal with it. And so I said, the day's over with, I'm just done. So I was so upset. I was just completely defeated. I didn't take the tram back. I literally just walked about 2.5 miles back to the actual cruise ship. I was like, you know what, I need to blow off some steam. I just need some time to myself. Like, I'm done with this whole cruise. And that's just the unfortunate part, because this cruise had so much potential, but the little things were just way too much.
Et toi, c'est le point zéro. Je tire des plans sur la comète. 3, 2, 1, projet. C'est le point zéro. Je me retrouve debout. Au point zéro. Bienvenue dans l'inconnu.
I mean, I've never once seen on a cruise excursion where they don't have a meet-up spot where everyone meets actually on the ship or right outside the ship. Like, you have to find your way over. It just didn't make any sense. And I mean, between that and then the first thing the girl tells me is, oh no, are you Justin? Or, hey, are you lost? You need some help? The first thing she tells me is no refunds? Like, that, the first thing that comes out your mouth when I spent about $200 on this thing? Oh man, I wasn't having it, y'all. So long story short, when I did get back to the cruise ship, she told me I needed to speak to some team to basically talk about potentially getting a refund. And so when I got to the team, the place that she told me to go to was the wrong place to go to. She told me to go to Sailor Services. They don't handle excursion. I need to go to the excursion desk. I get to the excursion desk. There's this guy there, but he's not the manager. And he said, oh, he was like, oh, I'm sorry about that happened. He was like, yeah, we don't give refunds, but I'll see what the manager can do for you. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go ahead and sit down. He was like, oh, no, the manager is out on the island right now partying and having a good time. She was like, she'll be back around like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Oh, man, y'all, I just don't know. When he said that, I didn't say anything to him. I just turned around and I just walked away. I said, you know what? This cruise is about to kill me. I am done. I'm tapped out. And so I literally just walked back to my room, and I really felt like, you know, back when disciplining children was legal, you know, back then we used to get like whoopings and stuff, and like you get beat, and you'd be so frustrated and just so upset about it. You go back to your room and cry, you end up falling asleep. That's how I felt, y'all. Like, I really was so upset. I just went back to my room. I didn't cry, but I went back to my room. I got on Instagram. I started telling people what's going on. And finally, I was just so mad I passed out because that's how exhausted I was from this cruise. Not only that, but to talk to the manager, she couldn't call me. She had to message me through the app. And it was just so much confusion. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So when I have an issue on this cruise ship, I can't talk to anybody face to face. I have to wait for them to message me on an application and wait for them to reply. It was just way too much. Long story short, thankfully I did get my refund back. But by then, y'all, I was so worn out and so tired. I just was like, I'm just done. So after waking up from my extended nap, I did feel better. I said, you know what, like this cruise, it just wasn't for me. And so I started packing. This is the first time I've ever started pre-packing to get off a cruise ship. Like, I was good to go by the time it was like 7 o'clock at night. Like, I was ready to go off that cruise ship. And so I was fully packed. I did go ahead and use the last benefit of my VIP package, the benefit I could actually use, which was ordering a bottle of champagne. It's a bottle of Moet, a good size of it. And so pretty much you just call this little number on your phone, they come and bring it to you. It's like a big deal. So I did do that. That was pretty cool. And then I said, you know what? I also have dinner reservations as well at the Italian restaurant. It's called Extra Virgin. And so thankfully, my experience kind of got better as the day went forward after that whole event on the island. The food at Extra Virgin was amazing. My waiter, he was amazing as well. Unfortunately, I thought about inviting my little homegirls I met, but I said, you know what? I just still need some quiet time to myself, at least for right now. And so I just had a dinner to myself, and it was really good. Now, the next show I definitely cannot show you all, because the next show that I saw on this cruise, and this is actually the last show I saw on the cruise, is the same show that got me a copyright strike on my channel. I don't know what it is about this stupid show, but Virgin Voyages said they didn't want people to spoil it, even though people are literally live streaming the show as it was going down, because I was sitting right beside them. Everyone had their phone out, but somehow I'm the one that got the copyright strike. And so again, I don't know what Virgin's beef is with me. I mean, I'm the one that had a bad experience and I paid for this thing. They just had another person join the cruise, but whatever. So yeah, that happened. Now I will tell you all, during the show, which I'm not going to most likely show, during the show, the last song they did was actually the theme song to Titanic. So I'm like, what is Virgin Voyages trying to tell me? Like, wasn't this enough already? Now y'all trying to tell me the shit's about to go down? Like, I was just so done with this cruise, y'all. It was ridiculous. So in all seriousness, I did leave that show, and this was finally the time where I always take it like usual, and I have some free time to myself. And so as you all know, in each and every one of my solo documentaries, I always go to the pool late at night on the last night, and I just have that time to think to myself and just kind of just reflect on the cruise. This was no different. So I headed to the pool deck, and here I am in the pool. It's nice, and it's actually pretty warm compared to the water in the water. This was also a first for me as well. I'm sure anyone that is familiar with my channel knows each and every time I do these pool videos, I'm usually by myself. It's late at night. No one's around. So for me to be in that pool and just randomly start hearing people screaming, take it off, take it off. Oh man, it was just embarrassing. Like, I did no type of meditating like I usually did. I was scared to get out the pool because my trunks were a little loose and I thought they were going to fall off when I stood up. At the end of the day, it was about 9 women just screaming at me, telling me to take my clothes off. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are y'all not at the club? Like, why? I was just so upset. So Yeah, that cruise needed to come to an end. Long story short, there was no type of meditating. I ended up meeting with my homegirls, and that bottle of Moet, we ended up crushing it. It was gone by the next morning. Good God, I hated this cruise.
Here I am, this love's for you. Hey baby, you're sweet as honeydew. Close my eyes, oh in fantasy, and you're here, you're right here with me.
Day 5, and I cannot wait to get home. So I was so done with this cruise, I did not get breakfast. I did not have to wake up early to pack because I was already packed. I was feeling kind of tipsy still because of that bottle of Moet. I'm not a big drinker, so for us to crush that whole bottle, I was pretty much done in the morning. The weather wasn't that great, so I mean, even just waking up to see the sunrise, there really wasn't much because there was so much clouds. I saw a Royal Caribbean ship, and even though I would consider it dusty because it's so small and old, I would much have rather been on that cruise than this one. So many things are going through my head. I was just pretty much done. Now, the good positive thing about this part was that solo cruiser that I met on day 1, he was actually in line with me when we were getting off the ship. And his experience was actually a lot different than mine. He said it was one of his favorite cruises ever, and he was also a solo cruiser. And so my closing thoughts, I kind of touched more on that, but again, it was really nice to meet him. So as far as getting off the ship, yes, we had to stay in a long line. It was a lot longer than what I'm used to on Royal Caribbean. You pretty much just walk off, at least recently. But with this one, we had to stay in the line for about 45 minutes, and then I had to get sent back in line again because that refund that I got from my excursion, I forgot all about it, and they had to cash me out. So that was an issue getting off. But either way, I was still able to get back to my car in a reasonable time. So making this video is pretty risky. Unfortunately, you all know when you post negative things on social media or platforms like YouTube, you'll have all type of random people that don't really know you come and attack your channel without trying to really hear you out or understanding where you're coming from. And I know that's going to happen with this video as well. Not to mention, I already had Virgin Voyages themselves flag my channel. The first company, the first person in general out of, 13 plus years of being on YouTube, and they come and flag my channel because I had a bad time on their cruise. So I'm expecting worse, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, my YouTube family comes first, and I promised I was going to make this video regardless and give you all my real thoughts. The cruise did have some amazing parts to it, but at the end of the day, it just was one of the worst cruises I've ever been on. It is the worst cruise I've ever been on. There is no comparison. Now, without being all drab and dreary with this experience, I do want to end things on a high note. As you all know, this is the second part out of 3 of my final trilogy of solo traveling cruise documentaries. And with that said, my last cruise that I've already taken on Odyssey of the Seas, that was the best cruise I've ever had in my life. I cannot put into words how everything just worked perfectly. I don't know if it was because I was so messed up from this cruise or what, but you all will see. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. It's MrBucketlist signing out.